Today we're going to be looking at messages, the actual messages that we're trying to get across. Now obviously we've been looking at above the line and below the line advertising. This is tended to be a bit more of associated with above the line, so it's particular messages that we're trying to get out with the use of advertising or through the method of advertising, whether this be short term or long term. Now obviously what we were talking about when we were saying about promotional techniques, what's the purpose of it? Well, generally it's to change people's buying behavior. In other words, we're trying to get people to either switch brand, try a new brand, be aware of us, or do something specifically. So what we have to do in terms of this is we are obviously changing people's behavior. So to do that, we have certain techniques that we use which will influence those attitudes or behavior. So those are the things that we're going to be looking at today. So propaganda officially are techniques used to influence opinions, emotions, attitudes, or behavior. It's certain things that, messages that we use to get a particular message across in the way that we want to change somebody's actual opinion or attitude of a particular product or service or company, whether it be short term or long term. So those are the things that we're looking at. Obviously, propaganda's got sort of a bad reputation from, we tend to associate it with things usually from something like World War II and things of that nature. But obviously it's used very much so even today in the commercial arena for products and services. So propaganda appeals to the emotions, not the intellect. That's the idea. We're not necessarily explaining something scientifically. That's not the idea of propaganda. Now, and it is neither negative or positive in itself. Obviously, some of the messages that are used may be considered negative. So obviously the purpose is to persuade someone to do something. In other words, to change what they have done in the past and to change their actual behavior. There's quite a few techniques that have been used over a long period of time. So we're going to look at the main ones that we have here. You'll probably recognize some of these when we go through them, so you can be aware that you've effectively been persuaded by these particular methods, and you may be able to remember some particular of these methods or products that have used these on you, and you can decide if they've worked or not. These are sort of the more conventional ones that basically have proven to have worked, and this is obviously why we use them. So we have a variety of those: bandwagon, testimonial, snob appeal, plain folks appeal, which is the opposite, patriotism, using facts and figures, the use of experts, and logic. So we're going to go through each one of those to explain how we would use those in a particular idea to change people's behavior when we're offering a promotion. There's a couple of others that are maybe the less known ones, which will also go over the glittering generalization, transfer, emotional, name calling, reputation, and humor, and we'll briefly look through some of those. Right, starting off with the main one, that perhaps a very common one, the bandwagon. It's difficult to sort of say how this really came about, because if you think of it, the actual idea, it's to join what is already happening. It's one of those that, well, everybody else is doing it, so why aren't you? But arguably, if everybody is already doing it, why are they advertising? Why are they having to spend money to persuade you to do it when everybody's already doing it? There's a particular one now that's being used for an insurance company, where the idea is they're saying that by using this kind of insurance, not just in your house, but also for your car, and it does these particular things. And everybody says, yes, we know you're late, we already know, we already have it. Thereby giving the impression that everyone is already using that particular product. But obviously, if that was true, then they wouldn't need to advertise. However, the idea is it's to join the crowd, that if everybody, if the in crowd, if you like, are doing, everybody else is doing, why aren't you? You should be doing it as well. So it's using sort of the pressure of your peers to do it. And we have what we call weasel words, which we'll have a look at, or not. The testimonial, a statement endorsing an idea or product by a prominent person. And we've all seen these, someone who maybe we respect or certainly who we know in terms of their work. Maybe not on a personal basis, but it's someone who we've already seen. Maybe we like their music or their actors, we like their films, and it tends to give us an idea that we already know this person. We've already accepted this person into our homes whilst watching their movies, listening to their music. Therefore, they can be very persuasive to us because maybe we want to be like them, and if they're using it, then surely we are. A good example would be the George Clooney advertisements. When they bring out a new particular product or any kind of new publicity, we get testimonials from people like him. So we have famous people promote an item or draw attention to it. The other interesting thing, especially when we have something that we may already have known the brand and we're sort of somewhat immune to the adverts that are coming out with the brand. But obviously, when we have a particularly well-known person that we already like or we feel that we know, this adds additional attention to us. Going back to the George Clooney, every time a new advert came out, which was sort of like a short movie with Nescafe or the capsules, every time that came out, obviously with a new movie, little mini movie with George Clooney in, certainly it certainly captured the attention of my wife. So again, it's designed to do that. Using somebody, an attractive singer like Jessica Simpson on Pizza Hut, again, catches our attention, maybe draws us to watching the advertisement that we wouldn't otherwise watch. Michael Jordan with Nike, for example. Snob appeal. Well, I think we can understand the idea of snob. It's something to give us the idea that this is only for the best people. This is for the more select. It's designed so that by using these particular products, we're going to show how great we are, how good we are, how much better we are than everybody else. So they're flattering us with these things. So it makes the assumption that this product is better than others. Therefore, if you have that, then you are as well. So these are things that are usually sort of avant-garde, in other words, ahead of their times. So an example of this is the that we have here is the BMW, the ultimate driving machine. It's more than just a car. It's a statement of who you are. It's so much more. And then we have the complete opposite of that, the plain folks. So it identifies a product with a particular, maybe a country or locality. And these are things designed for very practical things, for very practical, ordinary people. So they're making an appeal to the common person. I'm just like you. Your views are similar to mine, and I'm working for you. So imperfect pronunciation, dialect, stuttering, and a more limited vocabulary. So that's usually typical of these. It's not usually done by a sort of a very well-educated, sophisticated, well-dressed person. So especially in terms of, say, things like if you see the trucks that are for sale, so you'll see somebody in jeans or in working clothes, and how this is that kind of vehicle for them because they're real people. They're not these sort of fake Hollywood kind of people. Another good one to use, obviously, is patriotism. When we purchase that is going to show people what by buying this that's made in let's say our country, whichever one it is, it's showing our love of the country, and therefore that by buying that you are helping the country financially. So anything that is made in the USA, where we stick the flag on it, and obviously giving the idea that if it's made in America it must be a superior product. And with some, patriotism is a massive part of their actual culture, their marketing. An example of that, I suppose, one of the best examples of that would be Harley Davidson. Literally, you cannot imagine Harley Davidson almost without the American flag being there. It reeks of American patriotism. A true patriot would drive a Ford truck and have a Harley or something. It's made in America, which actually is not necessarily true, as they're making them in China right now. But that's the idea. It's built on this love of country, and that's why you should buy it. If you love your country, you will buy this product rather than something that's made in another country. Now, obviously, we use a lot of facts and figures and statistics, so they will use numbers, tables, and graphs to show the statistics of these things. But again, it's the way these are presented. A popular one with this would be the Danone advert, where it will reduce your cholesterol by 20%, and they may have statistics about how many people have reduced their cholesterol over a period of time. So again, these kind of facts and figures are designed so that, well, it sounds scientific, so therefore it must be true. And it gives us a more of a scientific push to make us buy the particular product. So statistics prove superiority. If we can prove that our figures are higher, sometimes they don't always necessarily make sense. A typical one was there was a company called Whiskers that made cat food, and their particular facts and numbers that they were using was the fact that 9 out of 10 cat owners said their cats preferred it, which is, I find fun, rather amusing, the fact that they know what their cat would prefer. Is this a scientifically done study? Had they put various types of cat food out and found out which one they prefer? I would imagine most likely not. So they're asking the owner of the cat what their cat would prefer, rather than in reality, they're saying what their cat is given and eats. So sometimes the facts and figures don't always necessarily follow. And of course, there's particular tricks that can be used in this. An example was with using sort of truisms, if you like, or things that are partially true but not necessarily connected, was Head and Shoulders shampoo that stated that, as a fact, that vitamin C is good for your hair, which is true. It makes your hair stronger. That's the purpose of vitamin C, amongst other things. And they said, our product contains vitamin C, which was also true. Therefore, the inference was that by using this shampoo with vitamin C, it would make your hair stronger. However, the reality is, none of those figures were lies, or facts were actually lies. However, the reality is, the only way the vitamin C works to make your hair stronger is if it's consumed, absorbed through the bloodstream. In other words, the only way it would actually work is if you drank the shampoo, which clearly is not a good idea. Now, sometimes they may mention particular ingredients, like those that we mentioned with they have certain effects in the case of it has vitamin C or otherwise. So, but some, in the case of the Danone yogurt, it has a particular type of acid in there that will help dissolve the blockages in your bloodstream. And then other things about hidden fears. So it suggests that the user is safe from some danger. This is typically used for things like alarm systems. And if a promotion is being done maybe in a particular town, city or region or district, they will give the facts and figures of how many break-ins or attacks or rapes there have been in that particular area, and say that there have been 2,000 attacks in this area in the last 10 years. Can you afford to be without this kind of protection? So an advertisement may read something like, this product kills 99% of your germs. Again, it's normally when they give these particular figures out, because of the standards that we've already mentioned, they are required to have evidence of this. And surveys may be conducted in the results graph to show people's opinion, to show that what people are doing in those particular areas. The other one is experts. So you use experts such as doctors, dentists, engineers, fitness trainers to say that they recommend this product. Obviously, 4 out of 5 doctors prescribe Bayer aspirin, but a very common one is getting a particular dentist or something like that to show how useful, how good a particular toothpaste is. And it's quite common to do that. They will have the recording of a dentist showing his actual qualification or the school he graduated from as a dentist, and saying why he prefers that particular, and he recommends that to all his patients as being the best toothpaste that they should be using. And then, of course, we have pure logic. They try to convince you to make the right decision, so smart decision or best choice in purchasing their product. So in other words, it's using common sense to buy this. So some examples are choosy moms choose Jif, the cleaning fluid. Save time and money with this thing. Shop smart, buy here. Basically implying that if you do not buy this product here or now, then perhaps you're not the most intelligent person. So it's kind of insulting maybe, but it's a way that to convince you that if you are logical and smart, you will buy this. Then we mentioned some of the other kind of things that we use, the glittering generalizations. So using a simple phrase that sounds good, but doesn't really have actually any real value or meaning. So if we looked at this as an example, maybe for some politician, I'm the candidate for change. What does that mean exactly? Changing what? How? Obviously, it's bound to be a change. If it's a different person, by nature, it would be change. But in what way is he the candidate for change? What kind of change? It doesn't actually mean anything. The Acura automobile slogan, advance merely means go ahead. But hopefully that's what cars do anyway, pretty much everyone, if it's done right. Or it's new. Isn't every product that's coming out now new? Another one is making the difference. Again, it's some of those words that don't really mean anything, but it just sounds good, and it's designed to sound as though they're actually doing something useful without really giving anything of substance. Right, the transfer or emotional appeal. So positive feelings or desires are connected to a product or a user. So transfer positive feelings we have of something that we know to something that we don't. Sort of giving whether love or popularity, fame, wealth, power, attractiveness. In other words, this particular product or service will either make you seem more popular, will give the impression that you're wealthier, that you have more power, or that you're more attractive. If you consider things of just the Axe spray, when they use something like that, the second the young man uses the Axe spray, suddenly is masses of attractive women are following him, wanting to go out with him. So these are words or pictures that appeal to your emotions. They appeal to positive emotions like your desire to succeed. They can also appeal to negative emotions like fear. So examples for emotions, save the children. But in the case of fear, for example, fear does work, obviously. This is used most commonly by house alarm systems. If you can imagine that you're offering this service in a particular area, and you show similar kind of houses that people are living in, and maybe the advertisement shows somebody coming home from holidays, and the first thing is the door is half open, it's obviously been broken into, and when they go into the house is trashed and all their personal belongings are either damaged or stolen, and that is to promote fear in the people that you could be next if you don't have this product. So some emotional words that we like to use, luxury, and what is associated with that, the kind of things, if we use these, this is a luxury product, but what does that actually mean? And obviously the answer is it means lots of things, but it means different things to different people. Maybe your definition of luxury is different from somebody else's. For some people, the mere act of flying on an airplane is a luxury experience. For others, it isn't. Quite the opposite. The definition of a luxury car, or a luxury hotel, or a luxury holiday, or a luxury sofa, or whatever. What is the definition of luxury? Again, beautiful. Where's your definition of beautiful? Paradise obviously sounds good, and everything can be paradisial, and this is from paradise, and your own particular interpretation of that word. And the advantage of this is it's designed to do that. If by them using these words, you're putting your own connotations. You're doing half the work, if you like, for the advertiser. They're saying this is luxurious. You are automatically putting the idea of what that means. Name calling. In other words, basically talking trash about your opposition. maybe done in a form of a comparison, but usually that ours is better than theirs. There are certain laws of what you're allowed to say in terms of advertising, of how you can actually say things to people, and you can almost take it to a ridiculous extent, which one company actually did with Lada, saying that it was faster. Their car was faster than a Ferrari, which obviously sounds ridiculous, a Lada being faster than a Ferrari. But then they followed it up with a Lada driving at 70 kilometers an hour is faster than a Ferrari driving at 60 kilometers an hour. Okay, well, we understand, but the original idea maybe was to sort of make a ridiculous comparison. So it was done more of a joke than a serious sort of insulting one. There's one out now which Volkswagen are doing, saying it's faster than a Lamborghini. And curiously, well, first off, Volkswagen own Lamborghini, so they're not exactly smearing an opposition, and it's not exactly a comparable car, is it? And the only way it's faster is the fact of the order time. You can get a Volkswagen in 4 months, whereas it takes a year before you can go and buy a brand new Lamborghini. But normally it's designed to damage your opponent. So it's by saying something that your product is better than theirs, their product doesn't do this, ours does this. Unfortunately, this can sometimes backfire. Samsung did this, sort of a famous advert they did about a year or so ago with the new phone that they were bringing out, which I think was this one, which is the S8, and it was designed for the launch of the new phone, and the advert basically showed Apple. So it showed an Apple store, people coming out of Apple stores with an iPhone, and basically saying how they were disappointed in the iPhone. And my iPhone doesn't do this, and the fact that the Samsung Galaxy was better, etc., etc. The problem was it was almost the only phone that was actually shown in the advert was the iPhone. The only name you saw in the advert was Apple. So arguably they'd spent a vast amount of money on doing a launch promotion for one of their phones and was actually promoting their main competitor. However, the idea or the intent is to damage the opponent to get people to come over to you. It also arouses suspicion, if you like, of the opponent. Well, maybe they're not as good after all. So the intention is to create maybe an uneasy feeling about using your competitor. And obviously, this is used not just by products, but it's also used by politicians, as we've seen, certainly in recent elections, especially those well-known ones like in the US. Donald Trump particularly slagging off Hillary Clinton, which has now become somewhat famous. But again, it kind of works. If you're saying he spent most of his campaign saying that she was doing illegal things with her email, and it did seem to ruin her possibilities of becoming president, maybe because of that. So again, how useful is it? Criticizing your opponent may work, but you have to be very careful because it doesn't make you look good either. And repetition. If you look at this advert, what kind of things are repeated in there? If you actually look at the logo, certainly that painted on the dog, which is then repeated on the dress of the women, the jacket of the guy, on the bag, on the carpet. Yep, Target in this case. So clearly this is just overly repeating. And again, this works so much. It is a methodology that works. If I keep repeating something over and over and over again, eventually people either remember it more or in fact maybe believe something that's, again, may not even be true. And going back to the case of the Donald Trump example, how many times have you heard of him say that I'm really smart or really rich or I'm the great businessman? He's said it so much, repeated it so many times, a vast amount of people believe it, when actual information based on him reveals the opposite. So again, repetition, it does work. Say something often enough, even a lie, and people will believe it and think it's the truth. Right, slogans. A catchword or phrase loaded with emotion, often sells through repetition. So it has to be something that's clever and easy to remember, something that stays with you a long time. Often a melody you already know, which is why in many cases when we're doing adverts, they will use particular songs that are fairly popular, and it's a song that you may already know and like, and by reiterating that song, then the song becomes associated with the product. So Trust Sleepies, which is a company that make mattresses, and the idea is this is for the rest of your life. So meaning, like literally, what remains of your life, the rest of your life, and also for the rest, the idea of resting the best one you've ever had. So again, the double meaning of the word. So it's quite clever, it's catchy, it's easy to remember for the rest of your life. So we've got some examples here. This particular actress, and I've already given it away, whose slogan is maybe she's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline, meaning beauty in this particular case. Is she naturally beautiful, or is it the makeup? Although certainly in cases like this, the slogan might be fine, but typically when they're doing things that are aimed at people to increase their beauty or whatever, they usually pick very attractive models in the first place. So maybe the answer is, well, no, actually she was born with it. I don't know how much work Maybelline has actually done. Maybe they should get a less attractive model to make them more attractive with their product, and then maybe it would work. Maybe then it would be Maybelline. Colours, so studies have shown that certain colours like red and yellow, either together or separate, evoke much more response in adverts. So we've got some particular examples, or very well known examples here with McDonald's and Kodak. Now, some particular techniques that we've got here during don't forget we're looking at specifically the above the line, so the more general advertising, humour, wit and humour. Diverts audiences and gives a reason to laugh, often through the use of clever visuals or language, like maybe some of the wordplay that we've already seen. However, we do have to be very careful with this, because obviously the idea of humour is different to other people. Not everybody has the same kind of humour, things that you can say and what is considered humorous or not. It's a very delicate line. One that they had with a particular cell phone company here, where literally they came on and was swearing through the program, and it was done here where somebody was coming in from another a competitor, or brought a report from a competitor, fucking Spaniards. But again, in certain places, this, although it's seen either outrageous, amusing in some places, others may take offence at it. It's a very tricky line to go with humour. Humour can be good if it's fairly simplistic, maybe somewhat slapstick humour, but again, it's giving the right impression of the product as well. So it's a very tricky line to walk by using humour in the ads. In the case of Nespresso with George Clooney, again, a lot of humour is in there. There's the humorous thing running through it, things not expected, and it's quite well done, and it's fairly universal, and it's unlikely that anybody would be offended by that. But again, if you're going to use that, you have to be very careful. And the rewards, the things that we're going to be linking this to, bonus awards to consumers for purchases, etc. And again, we've already looked through the rules of this, of what is offered, but again, you have to be very careful. There was one particular thing that I found interesting, to say the least, which was during a particular advert, and it actually had the Kinder egg, the chocolate egg with the toy inside. So on one side it has the Kinder egg, that's obviously very popular over here in Europe, and on the other side was an assault rifle. And they said only one of these cannot be sold to children in a particular state in the United States. And it wasn't the assault rifle, because they felt the Kinder egg was dangerous to children, because the small plastic parts in the toy that's inside it, they could be swallowed by the child, who could choke, and it could do them some damage or even kill a child. Rather than an AR-15 assault rifle, well... Let's not go there. But that's probably why over here in Europe you might get the toy as a reward, but you're not going to get an assault rifle, unfortunately. So use of humour. Again, if we look at this particular one, there's a little McDonald's sign there in everyone. And I really don't know the age of this. It looks like a youngish person, maybe 14, 15. So arguably, we're showing obese children, and this has come as a result of McDonald's maybe, or something. Clearly in this particular example, he's got more than a little bit of McDonald's inside him. So again, how do we feel about this kind of humor? The other one, with the cow saying eat more chicken. So obviously not very well educated cows, not being able to spell well, but it's kind of amusing. So I don't know if anyone would be offended by cows that are trying to demonstrate to people to not eat as much of them and eat somebody else. But again, you have to be very careful with this. Now, transmitting messages, one of the first things we have to look at, especially when we're doing a lot of these promotions online, the first things we tend to look at, if we're doing blogs, if we're doing emails, if we're doing any kind of connection, or if we're doing something through hashtags on Pinterest or wherever, that we've got to really get the message across in a very short amount of words. The headline, it's the first thing. Without the headline, if there's a bad headline, we're not going to open the message. If there's a bad headline, or it's a not interesting headline, we're not going to read the email. Without that headline, we're not going to take anything further. If you're offering something and you're promoting this through whatever particular media, the headline is what counts. Without that, if it's not interesting, memorable, making people actually open and read the actual item that you're transmitting, then you're dead. It doesn't matter how great the copy is. It doesn't matter how great the actual promotion itself is. It might be wonderful, but without a good headline to actually get the people to read the message, it's going to be completely and utterly wasted. So we're going to look at the 8 time-tested headline categories that compel action and rake in sales. It will actually get somebody to do something. And don't forget, that's the idea. So obviously we're looking at headlines in almost anything, whether it be in printed media, but in most cases what we're looking for on this is online, which is where we're going to be focusing these kind of things on. So a direct headline goes straight to the heart of the matter without any attempt at cleverness. Yes, so it will, just to give an example, we've got a 30% off as a headline on the product. So Pure Silk Blouses 30% off as a headline that states the selling proposition directly. So that might be a blog that might lead to something else of, say, a free book or something. So that's a direct headline. An indirect headline makes a more subtle approach. It uses curiosity to raise a question in the reader's mind, which the body copy answers that. So often a double meaning is utilized, which is useful online. An article might have the headline, "Fresh bait works best," and yet have nothing to do with fishing, because it's actually about writing timely contact that acts as link bait. In other words, the thing that people want it to do. Obviously, something like a news headline, well, that's fairly obvious because it's got to be something newsworthy. So it could be something that it's got to be newsworthy regarding your product. So it could be a new product announcement or something interesting that's happening within your company. And obviously, some of these kind of promotions that we're doing where we're offering particular services or whatever. So something that is newsworthy within the company. The how-to headline, that's getting very popular, both online and offline. The main reason, why? Because it works. So many advertisers, writers claim if you begin with the words how to, then you can't write a bad headline. An example of this would be, well, how to write this here, how to produce great headlines, for example. And again, if that's what you're after, but certainly how to get something cheaper, how to get a discount, how to get this, how to achieve this, linking that into your particular promotion. A question headline. must do more than simply ask a question. It must be a question which, according to the article that we got this from, the reader can empathize with or would like to see answered. So from a psychology today, do you close the bathroom door even when you're the only one at home? Or another example on typical internet marketing was, who else wants to get rich online? Again, it's asking something of a rhetorical question where we probably already know the answer, but the curiosity makes us open it. Then we have the command headline. So it boldly tells the prospect what he needs to do, indicates that the first word should be a strong verb demanding action, such as subscribe to GBSB newsletter today. So it's telling them what to do. Another effective technique is called the reason why headline. So your body text consists of a numbered list of product features or tips, which you then incorporate into the headline, such as 200 reasons why open source software beats Microsoft. It's not even necessary to include the words the reason why. So this technique is actually the underlying strategy behind the ubiquitous blogger list posts such as 8 ways to build blog traffic or whatever. And then finally, we have testimonial headline, which is very effective because it presents outside proof that you offer great value. So this entails what someone else has said about you, your product or service, and using their actual words in the headline. So quotation marks let the reader know that they are reading a testimonial, which will continue in the body copy. So an example of this might be, I'm not saying that she has actually done this, but I read Professor Harrison's book first thing each morning, admits Angelina Jolie. I wish, maybe she has, although my last book was written in Spanish, so maybe she hasn't. I don't know. Does Angelina Jolie speak Spanish? I don't know, I have to check that one. But you get the point. It's using the testimonial of somebody. But obviously in real life we would put something that would be true. So in this, as another example, as you can see, a clear headline, kids eat free, another irresistible offers. So the sign says it all. Kids eat free every Monday and Tuesday. It's out in front of a Mexican food restaurant. That's called an offer. It's not the restaurant's main offering, which obviously is Mexican food or trading Mexican food for money. But every Monday and Tuesday night, the place is packed. They've made an appealing offer that causes people to take action. It's a limited period. It's only on offer on those particular days. So offer is a contractual term. It's an invitation to enter into an economic relationship, or any relationship in reality. So the relationship is based on a mutual promise. I'll do this for you if you give me money or attention or sex or friendship. So there's no acceptance of the invitation. There's no contract without forming the relationship. So going on to continuing the idea of messages, what makes a great email subject line? So let's go over some fundamentals, what makes a great subject line. Don't forget that email marketing is one of the best forms of marketing there is. It's certainly one of the cheapest, and it's one of the most effective. And because of that, because it's so continuous, you control when you put this out, and it's immediate. If you're putting any other form out, even if it is something on a blog, it has to be written, and then people still have to actually see the blog. So the point is, by doing this is a great way of getting, if you've got a particular promotion that you're offering, you can get to that idea of your new promotion to your customers immediately by sending the email out directly to them. You come up with the offer today, you send the email out today, they will see your promotion the same day. And this is almost impossible in almost every other case. So what we need are the following: urgency. We must be communicating urgency and scarcity in an email subject line, though these can help compel readers to click or act when phrased creatively and strategically. Curiosity. If your subject line piques the recipient's natural curiosity and interest, they'll have to open the email to get more information, and that can result in a higher open rate. An offer. At the end of the day, people love new things and experiences, especially when they come free or at least discounted. Open with that by including it in the subject line. Or personalization. Marketers have never had more ways to learn about subscribers' preferences, jobs, or general dislikes, so they know them. So when you actually have the name of the person, what the information about the person, cater that information for that particular person. It would be pointless sending information maybe to me about studying in a high school or taking a bachelor's degree after having significantly more qualifications that I would not be interested. Right, relevance and timelines. Crafted email subject lines should incorporate trending topics or timely headlines that can help you establish your brand as an authority within your industry. Name recognition. When you understand your audience's preferences and interests, you can pique their interest by including the names of these recognizable individuals, by including them in your content and mentioning them in your subject lines. And of course, cool stories. Well, everybody likes a story. So front load your subject line with a compelling allusion to a story that the message tells was more likely to be read if it opened or clicked. So it's more likely that they will be intrigued by the message and will want to open it and read the story. So looking at digital advertising and promotions, the most common first step of consumer-facing marketing going online is advertising on the internet. One distinguishing factor of digital communication versus its traditional counterpart is due to its interactivity, i.e. bi-directional communication. You talk to me and I can talk to you. The internet allows firms to communicate with their consumers and at the same time gather attitudinal and behavioral feedback that allows a better understanding of them. For example, marketing research. So digital marketers need to start by identifying the purpose of their online communication action. So the three broad options are market research, in other words, understanding what consumers value, to advertise and communicate better, or promotions, to provide value. So each of those three things has to do those things. Now, if we look at the difference between advertising and promotion, which we should have understood by now, so they're in two separate types. So advertising promotions, traditional advertising. So online advertising, promotions are two communication tools used by which business to consumer companies convey information and persuade current and prospective customers to purchase. The persuasion format can be in the form of an advertising message, those that rely on some medium and communicate some value, or consumer promotions, those that carry some redeemable value, such as a deal. So online options include search engine ads, display ads, viral ads, etc. Consumer promotions are designed to accomplish multiple objectives, so trial, repeat purchase, brand switching, etc. So as we can see, this is what is being discussed here. So it's obviously shifted the balance between these two in terms of how much was spent online and how much is spent offline now. And obviously this is changing greatly. So we'll have a look at the different kinds. So if we're looking for a framework for selecting digital social media. So based on those distinctions, marketing managers should answer 4 related questions in order to choose which category of online media tool is more appropriate for their communication purposes. So the first thing we need to ask is, what is the purpose of the medium? Is it to listen to our customers, or talk to them? Next thing, what is the persuasion element? Is it to offer a deal or offer an argument as to why somebody should buy it? Third, who is the provider of the content? Is it the company, the firm, or is it the consumer? And fourth, who is the initiator or provoker of the content? Again, is it the consumer or the firm? Now, the framework is intended to move the decision process away from a primary function on digital tools, so separately studying search engine, display ads, etc. Rather, it starts by focusing on the intended purpose of social media for a marketing action. So look broadly at available class of tools and then narrow down to the precise tools to consider. For example, a high involvement brand such as Disney wanting to conduct market research, that's the purpose, should consider social networking sites, that's the class of tool, as its consumer frequently talks online about the Disney's experiential products. As such, Disney might consider using Facebook, that's the tool, due to its prevalence among the target demographic. However, on the other hand, Facebook would likely be an ineffective tool for a low involvement brand such as Tide, the washing powder, to persuade new customers towards a trial by offering a deal, purpose. A better approach would be use a daily deal site in that class of tools, such as Groupon, that specific tool. So this really is how we can actually see exactly what it is that each one of these things has to do. So it's just a diagram to explain if the idea is to listen, then the class of tool we'll be using would be social chatter, online buzz. So examples of that are Twitter, Facebook, etc. If it's to talk, I persuade, then we would do that by offering deals. The class of tool would be daily deal, flash sales, specifically Groupon, Groupé, which is the French version, etc. If we're offering arguments, again, consumer to consumer, well, create content, so electronic word of mouth, viral, etc. So using Yelp, TripAdvisor, etc. Firm to consumer initiated search engines, so Google search, YouTube, Facebook, etc. And if it's firm initiated, in other words, it's outbound marketing, where it's just general adverts, we may use online newspaper or magazine sites like the Daily Telegraph, New York Times, but they're online version. So online, AILS promotion. Okay, there's an S missing there. Online sales promotion examples. So some of the most common examples of sales promotions are, for online obviously, flash sales, buy one, get something, coupons or discounts, giveaways or free samples, recurring sales, or tripwires. So we're going to have a look at some examples of those. So a flash sale is one that offers some sort of savings, but only for a short period of time. Good flash sale creates urgency, hype, and obviously, hopefully, a spike in sales. So we have an example here, 25% off plus free shipping. Now it's limited, 48-hour site, expires, tells us when it expires, and obviously it's save now, so we know what to do next. In other words, we have to click on the save now. Buy one, get something. So people always like to get more for less. This one, buy one, get some offer, allows you for this. Additionally, you can use it to unload overstocked inventory in a way that helps you still have a profit margin. Especially enticing is buy one, get one free, as people have a hard time saying no to something that's free. So why does this work? We've got an example here, buy one, 50% off on the next one. So this is a company called Active. So it also utilizes a flash sale to create urgency for their shoes. They make it clear that it's regular price shoes, so the buyer knows what he's getting into. They're named their sale to be in line with their brand. What's Up Wednesday appeals to their target audience, and it's designed to be clean and appealing. Coupon sales. So coupons and discounts are great because they get people buying, and you can still realize some profits. They're especially good for things that are overstocked or that you can use as a baseline to upsell something else, other complementary products. This is Tackle Direct. So it's about fishing. They're a fishing outfitter. So here's the coupon for you, and there's their coupon code, which, as you'll notice, is rather strange. But the advantage of this, it's ideal for tracking, so you'll be able to track it. Although there is actually a little trick with this, which, to be honest, I've actually used, is the fact that by using a complicated coupon code, not everybody will actually use it. So you can actually offer slightly more and less people will use the code. In other words, you're not actually offering the full percentage of discount across the board. So why does it work? Well, abandoned shopping carts are a pretty big deal. A lot of people are experiencing that. They reckon it costs online retailers 67% of sales, according to Shopify. So many times it's not that the person doesn't want to buy, but instead something comes up. Maybe there's something happening outside, or maybe it's that they've decided they got distracted and gone to another website. So this is a way of actually clinching the deal and getting them to do something right now before they actually decide to leave the website. Tripwire. So the term Tripwire comes from Ryan Dice, so CEO and founder of Digital Marketer, which is a massive online company that help people with online marketing. So the idea is that you offer a lower entry-level price good to a potential customer to get them into your customer ecosystem. You can then build trust with them and then offer higher price products later on. So here we can see we have a VR glasses, the fairly basic model, and obviously with the idea that they would start with that and then you could build up and sell them more things. So why does this work? Well, tech-minded folks know about Oculus, the leader in virtual reality technology. But if you want their flagship product, Rift, you'll need to drop $599. So the Gear VR works with Samsung Galaxy smartphone, and at $99 is a much cheaper alternative. So it gets them into the world of virtual reality. If they get hooked, then maybe after they've seen this, $599 doesn't quite seem so expensive. So they can see how it works, and it's worth making them spend some more money on a more upmarket product later on. Right, well, I was going to have a quick look, a brief look anyway, about promotional products. Obviously, these principally are not to sell in themselves, but again, to promote a particular business or something in other things, and it's getting your name out. So it is a way of doing a promotion where maybe you're either giving something free, could be giving a free hat or something, but it normally will have your particular brand on it that you're after people selling. So literally by having that, somebody who's wearing one of your t-shirts or bags or hat, that customer effectively is then doing promotion for you. So a checklist would determine the perceived value of your promotional product. So to gauge the effect of including a promotional product in your marketing campaign, one of the first things you have to consider is its perceived value. So here we've got a checklist of questions to help you determine the right gift at the right price for the right audience at the right time. Right, start by examining your brand presence and your goals. So what is your current brand presence? In other words, how many people actually are aware of you? Is it positive? Do people hold your brand in a particularly good light? Does it need a little bit of repair? Or is it zero? Maybe nobody's heard of you. That's the first thing. Next, what are your goals? Are you trying to create brand awareness? Are you launching a new product or a new company? Are you just looking for new business? Or trying to maintain a presence in the marketplace? Or just trying to support existing customers? Then consider your target market and specific information about them. Who is your target market? Who, what, and where are your new customers? Are you targeting existing customers? In other words, getting the ones who already have to buy more. How are your products received in different markets? Does the recipient's gender affect your choice of promotional products and its value? What are the demographics associated with the recipients? Are you addressing recipients of a particular age and social status or something else? Does that affect the type of gifts that they would like or would want to receive? And does the perceived value of your promotional gift reflect their current station in life? How well do your promotional items match the industry, the occasion, and the recipient? So what industry do the recipients belong to? So does your promotional item mesh with their industry? What is the venue where you're intending to distribute these products? Is it a trade show, a conference covering several days, or is it just a simple meeting or some other venue? And what is the role of the recipient? Are they a decision maker or just an influencer? Is the way you distribute your promotional items in sync with the recipient's perception or attitude about your brand? How are these items to be presented? Is the item going to specifically gift wrapped and individually presented? Is the item going to be passed out in bulk at a trade show? And can it be passed out in a single box? What's the general attitude of recipients towards your brand? Are they positive or negative? Are they indifferent to you and your company? What are the recipients' perceptions of you in the marketplace? Do they trust your brand? Are they suspicious or are they cautious of you and your brand? So a relevant promotional product should enhance your relationship with the recipient. So what is the likelihood of the recipient doing business with you? Is it high? Is it low? Is it just a maintenance thing? In other words, is it highly likely maybe you don't actually need to give anything, or if it is, maybe it's something that is just to sort of further cement the relationship. If it's very low, is this kind of gift actually going to make any difference to them? If it's just a maintenance thing, maybe they already have some kind of relationship with you, then it's just to keep reminding them that you actually still exist, and more seen as a thank you, if you like. What relevance does your promotional product have to the recipient? Is the product that you're giving away relevant to them? Is it perceived value of something that they would actually want? And do you have a previous relationship with the recipient? Is it a good one, or is it a negative one? In other words, giving something away, if it's already negative, is this going to change their particular attitudes to you or not? So promotional items should respond to market perceptions of your brand. Do the recipients have any preformed notions about you or your company? Again, are they positive, negative, or zero? Will this be their first impression of you or your brand? If you imagine that you're giving something to them and their first impression is maybe some really cheap, horrible plastic pen that in their mind is only worth 50 cents, it's not going to be a particularly good first impression. Do you have you introduce yourself literally from scratch? What kind of online brand presence do you have? Do you have a lot of exposure to you or your brand? Do you have a lot of exposure to your competition? Are you competing with somebody? How would you describe their primary competition? And how loyal are they to your brand? How long have they been associated with you and your particular brand? Another matter to consider with promotional items is whether there are any legal or ethical issues. Are there any ethical issues with giving of the gifts? Is there a high value associated with the gifts? Do the individual receive these gifts, see them as supplementary income? Do they expect a gift to do business with you? And again, are there any legal issues associated with giving a gift? Do you have any internal policies governing reciprocity? If they receive a gift, must they reciprocate? Now again, although it sounds fairly obvious, but we've got to understand the kind of level of gifts that we're talking about, where we consider, let's say, promotional items. We're doing something in order to influence someone to come with us. Now, if it's something as simplistic as a pen, however good that pen is, we generally consider it's not necessarily going to greatly influence them or unduly influence them. But if we're giving somebody a car, and I think we can consider that being unduly influential and perhaps being way over the illegal side. So again, we have to be very careful. We could perhaps give something as a simple pin or something, but we couldn't give them a diamond necklace. So although some things are common sense, depending on the country we're operating in, or the country where whose rules we're operating under, may not necessarily be the country we're in, it may be our home country. We have to be aware of what kind of promotional gifts we're allowed to actually give, that is not seen as considering us as buying our way into a particular contract. So we're going to have to check. Normally it's quite straightforward because it's a certain value. It mustn't be something over $100 or a couple of $100 or the equivalent. Anything less than that is usually considered quite fine. But obviously, if it's something else, if you were to giving somebody a car, then pretty much that might be considered an additional income for somebody, and therefore that could be considered bribery rather than just giving a promotional gift. But giving a t-shirt or a hat is not normally the problem. But again, in certain countries, certain cultures, maybe they expect more. Maybe they expect something of a particular value, but not necessarily anything that is going to be used illegally. So be aware of any industry rules about receiving valuable promotion items. Are there specific rules in your industry about the value of the gift? Are they aware of any rules in the industry governing what they can receive? What is their company's policy about receiving the gifts? Now, maybe something, a perfume kit or an iPad. How far can we go? Giving a cell phone. How much is a cell phone now? We give as a promotional gift to get somebody to buy from us a €1,200 cell phone. Is that legal? So again, we would have to be very careful about what we're offering. Are there any possibilities that a low-cost item might be confused as something of a much higher value? So could this impact negatively? And that is all we're going to be covering today. So I'll finish here now, and then we'll get back to you with the next installment. So thank you very much for listening, and see you in the next one.